What's up, guys? Today I want to talk about Arcane Season 2. Now, I binge watched the entire, second season, all the way through, watched it, and I have to say, I'm a little disappointed because it came off as extremely underwhelming. Now, I don't know if that's just how the show actually is, right? If someone who didn't watch Arcane Season 1, if they were to watch Arcane Season 2, would they have that same feeling of disappointment? I don't know. I think all I can judge the show off of is Season 1. And I love Season 1. I thought the animation was amazing. I thought the characters was amazing. I thought the whole story was amazing with the people on the low tier, high tier. I like all that. I thought that was cool. And I loved how it ended, with Vi and, Jinx and, Silco and, Van. I loved it. This season seemed a bit disjointed for me. I don't know about for you guys, but for me, it was just a little hard to follow. Because one thing that was beautiful about Season 1, yes, these were new characters, but they all led into one another. Jinx led into Silco, Silco led into Underground, Underground led into, the soldiers and yada, yada, yada. So it was a little easier to follow because one was like, okay, got you. This, it seems like everyone has their own story. Everyone's doing their own thing and they never really truly mesh. And the bigger problem is not even that, because once I understood, especially with the whole hex tech, let me just be clear. I don't know anything about Arcane. I don't know anything about League of Legends. I've never played the game. And based on the people who do play the game, tell me not to play the game because it's too addicting. I'll take their word for it because I know, coming from StarCraft, I 100% agree. But one thing I do love about, series like this is that it gets people interested in the lore. I'm now interested in the lore of Hextech and, the Underground and what's going on with Jinx. And, that's what I'm interested in and see how that compares with the actual lore of the video game and where it differs. There are no characters here that I really care about. And I think that is such a big travesty of this second season. I think one of the strongest points of the entire season, I think it was episode 2. And episode 2, not to get into heavy spoiler, but Caitlyn, right? Caitlyn is trying to, yeet a Jinx. That's what's trying to happen. And Vi and Jinx are fighting, and it gets to this one point where Vi realizes, she's just a child, bruh. she's just a child. She's not some hardened, crazed criminal, that they've grown to create her out to be. That she's a kid, and Vi, tries to protect her. I thought that was peak for me. That was peak. And then after that episode, everything just goes to the gutter. Everything just goes to the gutter. I think with the whole evolution of Jinx, of not wanting to be a hero, I don't want to be this hero type of person. Okay, that doesn't really mean anything to me. With Caitlyn and Vi, that relationship, don't really care. I genuinely don't really care. I think it was cool. That was like, hey, you have to help us. And it's like, no, I can't. It's very much like what Romeo and Juliet in type of sense. You're part of the Capulets and I'm not. That was cool, but that fizzled out. it just fizzled out. And then they're introducing other characters. So in order to compensate for Vi not being with Caitlyn, they introduce this other chick and who's a soldier. I don't know her name, but I'm like, okay, but she plays a role in the whole story later down the road. And it's like, okay. And then because, Vi doesn't have Silco, because Jinx doesn't have Silco, now we have this other little girl in her life. And I'm like, this little girl does the same fate as everyone else that's introduced to the show. And it just seems like they're just throwing away characters just to move the story along. And for me, it comes off as lazy, first, but secondly, I'm less invested now because I'm like, okay, based on what you've done with this person, that was went nowhere. That went nowhere. That went nowhere. On top of that, there's no real push for the show. There's no one that I truly cared about in the show. It was kind of I was just watching it. And then when it comes to the story overall, the overall story with Hextech and Victor and Jace and all this, I'm like, I've seen this story before, bro. I get it. I'm just coming off of, Spider-Man 2, Save the World and all that bull crap. I'm like, I don't know if this is the actual story of League of Legends, but I'm like, it just was not interesting to me. And you know, with the whole hex tech stuff and what's going on, and then the time warp and all that, it didn't mean anything to me. It had no emotional impact, I'll say, as opposed to the first one. That had an emotional impact. Seeing these girls grow up, you know, the father figure, the enemy, villain. This one didn't have that same impact. It just didn't. And, you know, V and Caitlyn, you know, they solidify their relationship in the story, we'll say. It's just, there was nothing there that really gripped me like the first one, I have to say. I will say that there were certain elements that had a flicker of light. Like, for example, not to get too heavy into spoilers, but I mean, we're at the end of the season. They obviously all get taken away, right? The underground get taken away because of what happened in the, you know, season 1, you know, the attack, we'll say the attack on the Capitol. So they gather all the people. Then we have this monster that comes and saves the day. We don't know anything about this monster, but we come to find out the monster plays a bigger role, but doesn't actually play a bigger role. It's like a pull on the heartstrings, but once again, it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't lead anywhere. Because I'm thinking they want to help the monster, and that's where Victor's become this figure of Hextech, where he's like a Jesus, but then he's not really a Jesus, because we come to find out, you know, everyone attached to him, it's like this hive mind plot device. That's what it is. And later down the road, obviously, once again, the whole save the world thing, really Spider-Man 2. Now, obviously, I'm not saying, you know, they ripped Spider-Man 2. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying it's a theme that I've seen before. So I'm just that less interested. What it felt like was like death by 1,000 cuts. Because it was like, don't care about that. Not really interested in there. That's not going to go anywhere. That's kind of boring. Don't understand that. That's what it felt like. Even with the Black Rose, I still don't know what the heck the Black Rose is about. I know it's a group of people. Other than that, the Thorns and all of that, and what Mel was in, right? The black chick and how she got her powers and all. I'm sorry, I didn't follow that, bro. Maybe I could be dumb, right? I could just, you know, be dumb and just paid attention to something else. But I think that's what happens when you have characters that are just less, you know, captivating and riveting than, you know, what you had in season 1. It's just, okay, now she has superpowers, got it, she's, you know, a brother and all that. Okay, fine. I don't know. And then even with the animation, I think there are certain shots that are really well done. But as far as the quality of the animation overall throughout the season, I think it was very up and down. There was peaks and there was valleys. And I don't think that was very much a case of season 1. Season 1, all the animation was amazing. I think in season 2, there were certain shots where like the lip syncing just wasn't there, or like the acting wasn't really there. Now, this season is really heavy on acting. Not so much on action, you know, maybe towards the latter half of the season, but a lot of this is like heavy acting, which is painful because if I don't care about the character, then I don't care, you know, how they're acting. Like you could tell that there were really good animators on the show and then also like mediocre animators on the show, because there were certain scenes where it's like the animation quality would just dip. And I'm just like, okay, that's weird. For me, it was aggressively mid. And if we're gonna compare it to Arcane season 1, I say it was bad. That's just me. I'm just gonna say, compared to season 1 and the awesomeness that was season 1, I think this was bad in comparison. Now, by itself, I say mid. By itself, mid. You didn't see season 1, you just saw this, you're like, oh, okay, it was, you know, it was interesting. But in comparison to season 1, I don't think it was that good. I don't think it was that good at all. That's just me. That's the video. I'm curious what you guys have to say. If you enjoyed it, or if you know, Lucas, you don't know what you're talking about. It was a masterpiece. It deserves awards. Or if you feel like, it was just a little underwhelming. That's all. And maybe I just hyped it too much in my head, like I did Spider-Man 2, and so it was destined for failure. I don't know what to say. But otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, guys, keep animating.